Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Commerce, Ag, and Natural Resources Subcommittee of Appropriations. Clerk, if you can open the roll for attendance. All right, clerk, close the roll. We have a quorum. So today we have one bill before us. That's Senate Bill 982 from Senator Surivel. What we are going to do is give Senator Surivel a chance to present his bill. We will then open up for comments or questions from the committee. We will provide some opportunity for input from the audience. We'll try to keep our comments as succinct as possible. If we need to put a cap on that, we will, but I think everybody knows that it's relatively late in the day. And so with that, Senator Surivel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity to present on this. I guess it's the first time you all have seen this legislation. We heard it last year in the Senate. This version's a tiny bit different. But basically, the first thing I want to make clear is this bill does not authorize a casino. The bill authorizes the Board of Supervisors of Fairfax County, if they so choose, to place a referendum on the ballot so the voters of Fairfax County can decide whether they would like to have casino gaming in the county in connection with an entertainment complex. If you look at the bill, part of the bill, lines 255, 58, if you look at the changes to the current code, it basically defines, well, first of all, it changes city to locality throughout the code because we don't have any casinos that are not in cities. It also defines the locality and way to pick up Fairfax County. Lines 287 and 91 basically say that the project has to be within a quarter mile of Metro Station. It has to include a 1.5 million square foot entertainment convention center complex outside of I-95. The actual project that has been at least studied is a 6,000 seat concert venue, 4,000 to 5,000 person conference center, a hotel, entertainment district, an IMAX center for sporting events, and some housing. It also has to be within 2 miles of an enclosed mall. And just so I'm clear, basically the location dynamics basically make all of Tyson's Corner available, not just one lot or one site. Basically, all of Tyson's is fits within the description of the bill. There's a couple different metro stations there, at least the part of Tyson's outside the Beltway. There is one property that is ready to go. There's another one that could probably be fitted to it. And if any other developer wants to come in and assemble some parcels, they could do it. They can make a proposal to the Board of Supervisors also. So that's basically what it says. Now, another thing I want to make clear, one of the things I've been asked or I've heard said about this is sort of how at least I came to be a casino advocate. I want to point out that in 2016, when they announced MGM across the river at National Harbor from my home, I wrote an op-ed in the Richmond Times-Dispatch with Senator Louise Lucas about why we needed to have casino gaming in Virginia because we were having our pockets picked by every surrounding state to us. That project right now is a $1.4 billion project right across the river, about 1,000 to 2,000 yards from the Virginia line. Right now, it's sucking about $300 to $350 million per year out of our state into Maryland to pay for Maryland schools, pay for PG County schools, and it's doing it every year. And that doesn't even, before you even get to Charlestown slots or any of the other projects that are pulling money out. Last year, MGM announced that MGM National Harbor was their #1 best performing asset outside of Las Vegas. That's how lucrative the Northern Virginia market is, or the DMV market is, for this type of opportunity, which is why when JLARC looked at the casinos back when we did the original study for the original bill we passed, they said that the Fairfax County Casino or Northern Virginia Casino would be the most lucrative of any casino in the Commonwealth by far. And I'm sick of watching Maryland eat our lunch. That's why I carried this. I want to point out that at least one developer has had the Innovation Group do a study about this. The Innovation Group is the exact same consultant who did the study for the prior casinos that we have in Virginia. And they came back and they said that a Fairfax County casino at this location in Tyson's would gross $1.2 billion a year in gross gaming revenue. $500,000 of that would come from outside of Virginia. So we'd actually start getting money back from Maryland instead of being basically a universal giver. It would also generate about 8 million visits per year. And they use several assumptions that I've already described about the Performing Arts Center, the Convention Center, luxury resort, casino, hotel, entertainment venue, et cetera, a 300-room hotel, and 1,600 multifamily high-rise residences. So that's the kind of revenue this would generate on the on the casino side. And I'll get to what that means for the state in a second. I also want to also make clear that the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors has not taken a position on this at all. They have said they don't have a position. They say that they want more tax revenue. They want more revenue sources. They want us to give them more revenue sources. 2 supervisors, maybe 3 now, have said they don't like it. There are 10 on the board. The supervisor who represents Tyson's Corner has not taken a position. So that's basically where the locality stands. And they basically said, you know, give us a deal, whatever, we'll think about it. But they have not taken an official position. I get their legislative positions every week. If you read it, there's nothing there for Senate Bill 982. Nothing in the official position. Now, what would this generate for the state? First of all, in December of 2024, Hard Rock in Bristol was doing about $240 million a year in gross gaming revenue for us. Rivers in Portsmouth is doing about $312 million a year. Danville is doing about $336 million a year. Fairfax would generate more than all of these casinos combined, based on the revenue projection I gave you. So for every $1 billion in gaming revenue, it's $183 million per year for the state for school construction, or $1.8 billion per decade of school construction money. By statute, casino revenue taxes for the state goes to school construction. So around the entire state, wherever it applies. So imagine what $1.8 billion per decade would do for schools in Virginia, on top of what we already get from the casinos. And that doesn't include income taxes. Remember that not only people that are earning money from playing the table games are earning income taxes to the extent they win, but every time an entertainment person comes in and gives a show, Bruno Mars or Willie Nelson or whoever, they pay a portion of their income taxes to the state. That also doesn't include state sales taxes and other revenues that the state would pick up from the jobs that would be generated by this project. And I just want to highlight why that's important. Last year, the 21st Century School Fund and the National Council on School Facilities put out their good stewardship standards, and they said that Virginia had the 9th largest gap on school construction spending in America. They said we spend about $2 billion less per decade than their standards, which is exactly what this would plug, right? If this generates this kind of money, it would plug that hole. Now, you're not going to hear me talk a lot about what it would generate for the county. And I've heard somebody say they want a good deal for the county. This is a wonderful deal for the county. This would generate between $200 and $300 million a year for Fairfax County. But I'm not talking about to you all, because you all are not Fairfax County, and that's for their board to decide. Okay? I am focused on the state impact and what it would generate for the Commonwealth. Okay? I will have a separate conversation with the Board of Supervisors and people of Fairfax County about what it would generate for them. But I only see 1, 2, 3 people from Fairfax County on this dais. And I know while they might care about it, the rest of you probably don't. So I don't highlight it when I talk about this. I also want to point out what this would do for metro ridership. One of the reasons this needs to be where it is because the state invested $6 billion in a metro line. And part of the reason you want this on a metro line is so you don't have 8 million cars going there every day. You have to have a project like this on mass transit. That's where it has to be. That's why Mass Metro was built. And having it there between 2 interstates is the perfect place to do it. I'm not going to talk a lot about why Fairfax County needs this desperately, but its commercial property tax base is cratering because of remote work. Fairfax County is over-relied on commercial now for since the 1970s. And now with remote work, their buildings are all empty. And you just heard in the last 2 weeks that the Trump administration has basically directed the GSA to cancel office leases all across America, and there's 44 million square feet of office space in the DMV, all of which is at risk right now. So if you want to know what's going to happen to commercial valuations in Northern Virginia, it's going to go down. So basically, this is a great deal for the Commonwealth. I think there's opposition to this. From my perspective, 95% of it, 90 to 95% of it is more concerns about it's in my backyard kind of stuff as opposed to the substance of it, of the policy of it. But what I want to highlight is that the supporters of this are a Virginia business trying to create jobs and activity in Virginia and revenue for Virginia. The opponents to it, at a town hall we had in my district about a month ago, at least one of the participants with the anti-group admitted that MGM had paid for their bus to come to Richmond last year. So you want to know who's doing all the text messages, who's creating all the spam in your email boxes? There's a big, large corporation from Las Vegas that has a vested interest in this not passing. And I think it's time we benefited a Virginia business so we can generate some Virginia jobs and for some Virginia revenue in Virginia to get us better schools. And Mr. Chairman, that's basically what I have to say, and I'm happy to address any of the complaints you might hear from other people. Oh, well, that's the thing. 2,000 jobs would create in construction and 5,000 permanent jobs it would create for the folks in entertainment. You're going to hear from them in a second, I think. But these are jobs where you don't have to have a college degree, and you'll be able to get wages and benefits that allow you to live in Fairfax County where you work. And it's not common for there to be jobs that don't require a college or graduate degree in Fairfax County that'll pay you the kind of income where you can afford to live in that county. And so I think that's important as well.
All right, thank you very much, Senator Searle. Does any member of the subcommittee have any immediate comments or questions for Senator Searle? Okay, seeing none, we are going to open it up to proponents and opponents. I think if we could, I don't know that we're going to need this much time, but if we can go ahead and tee up the clock at 10 minutes so that we just make sure we're cognizant of everybody's time. Those in the audience who wish to speak in support of the bill. All right, welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, I'm Virginia Diamond. I'm the president of the Northern Virginia Labor Federation, and we support the bill. This is actually our top priority among labor in Northern Virginia. And the reason is that this is due to labor agreements that are in place. This is an opportunity that is both unprecedented and historic to bring thousands of good union jobs to our low-income residents who are currently working. If they're in hospitality, they're working 2 or 3 jobs. They're making barely $30,000 a year, maybe, with multiple jobs. What union hospitality jobs can bring is up to like $34 an hour in our area, with health care for their families, with pensions, and with an opportunity to have just one job. So without these labor agreements in place, there's no union jobs that would be available, and for that reason, we're supported by all of the unions, as well as the Fairfax County Federation of Teachers, which is really very, very concerned about possible, revenue shortfalls for raising teacher salaries. So we would hope that you would take into account that we want the working class of Fairfax County to have a vote on this. So please let this move one step further so that Fairfax County Board can consider having a referendum where the people who would benefit from these jobs would be able to have a voice and a say. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Ayman. I'm here in support for the bill. I work at the Hyatt Regency Crystal City since 2.5 years, and I worked there before having a union contract. I'm working now while we're having a union contract. So I can tell you how hard it is to work in a business without having protection or like affordable health insurance. I spent months and months with the back pain. I could not visit a doctor, and I had to deal with that with all the hard work I did. It was many shifts that I've been working until my feet were bleeding. So why I'm here today, because I'm enjoying the benefit of having a union contract now. My wage was increased, and also I have an affordable insurance, and the most important thing is I'm having job security. So the relative of this, what I'm saying with the bill is I want my family, my community, my friends to have the opportunity of having 5,000 job offers that's gonna be union jobs that they don't have to deal what I dealt with in the past, and also it's going to be a lot of money coming to our county. I do have friends in Fairfax County that work in business, in hospitality business, are making half what I'm making now. So please don't kill this opportunity for our members. We are the labor, we do exist, and we do need this kind of opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Sasha Williams. I am a Unite Here member. I've worked both hospitality jobs and non-hospitality jobs. So today, I guess I'm advocating for the underdog. I know what it's like to not have job securities and healthcare and 401k. I worked back in 2014. I lost a job easily. I left because I lost a family member due to an unforeseen accident. She was killed. And when I came back, I had to work my way up, and there was nothing in place to hold the company responsible. So I ended up building myself back up within this job in catering and training people that made more money than me to do the job that I knew how to do that they didn't know how to do. And a lot of jobs today, we have so many people that can't find jobs with protections in place. I know firsthand for me, not being able to make a livable wage. It tied into my mental instability where I was unsure how I was going to pay my bills, how I was going to raise my child. So if I can advocate in any type of way where there's opportunities in place for the community to say whether they want these jobs or not, I will. I've done this before. I tried so hard to get a casino here before. Unfortunately, we didn't get it, and I still feel that that was wrong because that's what the community wanted and that's what the community needed. So I just asked it, give Fairfax a chance to decide if this is something they want. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much.
Hi there. Yes, my name is Aiden Graham. I'm with Unite Here, the Hospitality Workers Union. So we represent 300,000 hospitality workers across the U.S. and Canada. 1 in 3 of our members works in the casino industry. So we have 60,000 members in Las Vegas, tens of thousands in Atlantic City, 100% of the market on the Strip. We understand this industry very, very well, right? So, you know, you've already heard from a couple of our members that this is a once in a lifetime, a generational opportunity, and an opportunity that we've never seen in the state of Virginia. And that's because, right, we have the potential to organize all of these jobs through what's called labor peace. So that is actually a mechanism that we've used all across the country. Every casino in Maryland was organized that way. The Danville Casino is currently being organized that way. And it's how we really grow our union and how we present these opportunities to our members in a really difficult context, right? So like our member said, we really want the opportunity for residents in Fairfax to decide. So please vote this bill through so that we can give them that chance. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Chairman and members of this committee. My name is Don Slayman. I work for Local 26, the IBEW Electricians Union, and I'm also a member of the board of the Northern Virginia Labor Federation. And I just like to say that I think one thing we all can agree on is that the social fabric of our nation is fraying. I contribute that directly to unionization in the private sector being at 5.9%. I started my career 40 years ago as an organizer, spent 25 years as an organizer and organizing workplace by workplace and organizing some large campaigns. And can't tell you, Eamon can tell you exactly what workers go through to try to form a union. It took me a year and a half and the exploitation and struggle and all the leaders being fired. This is, but this is the way we organize to protect the workers from the retaliation. I would challenge any of y'all to tell me when you put us in a room with a stakeholder that could help us organize 5,000 workers or 10 workers. And if we don't do something about turning around the unionization of private sector workers, this nation's going to continue to grow in income inequality and fray. And I'm a lifelong native of Northern Virginia. Grew up in Annandale, and my region never experienced a real recession because of the stability of the federal government. But I spent my entire career dealing with deindustrialization and globalization and the fallout from workers losing a mine or mill or factory. And I saw what it did to those communities. I'm afraid what it's going to happen to my community, Northern Virginia. And so I would really think it would be of great value to have the county board to have in their pocket once this a recession could start up there, something that could reduce revenue this quickly, and to have a solution in their pocket. And all this bill does is gives the ability of them to call the question and have a referendum and let the people decide. I think you owe it to them to give them some a tool in their toolkit. And it won't only benefit Northern Virginia, it'll benefit this country, because if the social fabric of Northern Virginia frays so close to our nation's capital, it's not very healthy. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Patrick Brigham. I'm with IBEW, the Electricians Union Local 666, based here out of Richmond. I just ran in out of the rain to tell y'all we also support the bill. These kinds of jobs, big jobs, no matter where they're at, it's not just going to impact Northern Virginia, but our members here in Richmond will be able to commute to those kinds of jobs, as well as it sets a standard for big jobs. It's going to impact, any new jobs that come into Central Virginia, the rest of the state or Commonwealth. So for all those reasons and for the reasons before, we absolutely support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will reset the clock, and now we will hear testimony from anybody in opposition to the legislation.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Todd Gackey on behalf of the Family Foundation. We've had a long history of being in opposition to gambling in all forms. But I wanted to kind of point out on this issue that if you remember back to 2019 and 2020, the whole discussion was that this was to help economically depressed areas. And there was a lot of discussion around whether or not they would stay at 5 or expand. And we were concerned that this was a slippery slope, that it would begin to expand. And if you compare the median incomes in those areas to, say, in Tyson's Corner or Fairfax, it's almost doubled what those economically depressed areas were that the other casinos were being placed in. I think we also have concerns about the location, the density of this area, and the impact it will have on communities, and the question of whether or not it would be close to schools or other areas where families frequent. So I think for those reasons that I would ask that the subcommittee just push the brakes on this, to pause it, and to vote in opposition to this. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Rena Hicks with Freedom Virginia. We are opposed to the bill mainly for revenue reasons. I think we definitely have a revenue crisis here in Virginia, and there's plenty of other ways to do that without piecemealing gaming, and we would keep this consistent with our opposition to the skill games as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Noel Dominguez with Fairfax County. I do want to note that my board has not taken a formal position of support or oppose on the bill. However, I believe they did send a letter noting some of the comments that they had, so I wanted to make sure everybody had that. Also, I think some discussion has been mentioned about our economic development efforts in the county. So I did want to mention, as was noted in the letter, that that we do have a robust market in Tysons, that we do have the stations, the areas around it are continuing to thrive, and that it's a blossoming entertainment district anchored by Capital One Hall, a premier arts venue, and a state-of-the-art baseball stadium. So we are continuing to work on economic development in that corridor as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Boysko.
Chairman Bolova, I know it's unusual to have a member of the Senate come up and testify against somebody else's bill. I am representing my 200,000+ constituents who have been very clear that this is not an appropriate location for a casino. As someone who worked for the county government for years, I participated in the planning system process, and I felt it was just necessary to just make my community's opposition heard on their behalf.
Thank you, Senator
Appreciate
Boysko.
it.
All right. Okay. Anybody else in the audience wish to speak in favor or opposition? Seeing none, we'll bring this back to the subcommittee. Does any member of the subcommittee have any comments, discussion, further questions of Senator Surville?
I'd like to wrap up too, if there's no questions.
Yep, we'll go ahead and give you the last word. Delegate Krizik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Speaking to the bill at the appropriate time.
Delegate Krizik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say a big thanks to Senator Surville for all the work he does, not just this session, but consistently. He's my senator, and I know I can always count on him, and he is really prioritizing our economy in Northern Virginia, especially around critical job creation, and I give him all the plaudits for that. There is no better friend of labor in this General Assembly, and I will definitely credit Senator Surville for that too. His strong leadership has been very, very. I mean, it's incredible what he's done in our community, and I can't say anything more. And so it hurts me to have to find something that we disagree on, but I have been pretty consistently against this casino expansion because I think we need to get a strong regulatory framework set up to oversee Virginia's gaming industry, which is growing, and I'm the chair of this subcommittee of ABC and general laws, so I see this coming all the time. There's a lot of new things. There's iGaming. There's a Princess Cruise Line that wants to have a casino. And I have a budget amendment in the House budget that will establish the Virginia Gaming Commission, which is an independent agency charged with acting as a regulatory watchdog of all forms of legal gambling, except the Virginia Lottery. And I think if this commission is essential to streamline the oversight and enforcement of all gaming activities in Virginia. And we really need to get that going. Before, I had a number of bills I wanted to introduce, but it's not fair to all the regulators and all the employees there to move them into this new agency and expand gaming at the same time. I think that's more than they can take on, and I think we've got, before we expand gaming in any capacity, we need to get this agency fully operational. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Delegate Krizek. Any further discussion from the subcommittee? Seeing none, last word is yours, Senator Sturvell.
Thanks. Well, first of all, I just want to and appreciate my delegate's comments. He and I have been at public service now together since about 1991 in a lot of different ways, and we're not always going to agree, but appreciate his views on this and his involvement in the subject area as well. He's been doing a lot more work than I have in a lot of ways. I just want to make clear, first of all, the revenue. When I was going over the revenue projections, I in terms of the tax revenue that would generate for the Commonwealth, I was using a pre-study number. If you take $1.2 billion in casino gaming revenue and you run it through the state tax structure, it actually nets $232 million per year for the state, or about $2.3 billion per decade, not 1.8. 1.8 was the number when I was assuming $1 billion. But if you use 1.2, it's actually $232 million a year for the state. Then the other thing I want to point out is that I heard some comment about problem gaming. That would generate about a little over $9 million per year for problem gaming efforts for the Commonwealth, and that's also required by statute. 0.8% of all gaming revenue has to go to that. In terms of the policy, I know Delegate Krizek mentioned what we've done in the state. Since I've been here, we've now authorized sports gaming, which I think was Delegate Sickles' bill. We've authorized, we've always had the bingo stuff and the charitable stuff. We've authorized the HHR, which I was a very big part of, and I know myself and Chair Torian were a big part of getting that into Dumfries. And if you want to look at what that's done for the town of Dumfries, they just had a $400 million facility built that has basically quadrupled their town budget without raising taxes. They had a $4 million budget. They're going to have a $16 million budget before we even change the revenue split, which I know is under discussion. But that town is going to undergo a transformation because of what gaming does for it. Fairfax County obviously doesn't need that kind of help, but it does need help. It currently has a $300 million deficit, structural deficit going forward, and it needs a project like this. There is no convention center in Northern Virginia. Fairfax County is larger than 8 states. Think about that for a second. It's 1.1 million people. It's larger than 8 states, and there's nowhere to have a convention, which is crazy. You got to go to D.C. You got to go across the river to go to a convention. We need this kind of project in Fairfax County to bring tourists to come and spend their money in our state to support our metro and support our economy. And I would just say again that these jobs are scarce. Jobs this could generate like this are scarce, and if the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, which I can never get to take a position on anything. In 16 years, I've tried to get them to take positions on things. They don't take positions. I can't explain why, but they don't on stuff. And so, but I would say that if they don't like it, they don't have to use the authority. If they can't negotiate a deal they like, they don't have to negotiate it. And you know what? If the voters don't want it, if the people who oppose it, if their arguments are so great, and they oppose it, then the voters will vote it down, just like they did in Manassas Park and just like they did in the city of Richmond. So in terms of the state, there's no risk in this for the state in authorizing this. There's $2.3 billion per decade of money for school construction and a lot more of that for the general fund. And I would hope we could pass the bill so we can get some of this money back from Maryland, which I hear is getting sucked into that state every day. I go out and walk my dog down the Potomac.
All right, thank you, Senator Sturvell. All right, back to the subcommittee. We operate by motion.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Delegate Krizek.
Move that we pass by.
All right, it's been properly moved. Is there a second? All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that the bill be passed by for the day. That's a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. All right, that bill is passed by for the day. Thank you, Senator Sturvell.
We'll keep talking about it. Thank you.
Yep. All right, I just want to say, first of all, this is the last meeting of the subcommittee for the session. I want to say thank you very much to all the members. We've had a lot of really great work come through this subcommittee. And just want to say I'm very proud of the subcommittee members that I get to serve with. And with that, do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Oh, it's like you guys don't want to leave. All right, all opposed, no. We're adjourned. There we go.